We do that every year.
How much do you need?
I wrote it down.
Did they come up with a number?
Well, we just say,
Certain amount.
we don't say a certain amount.
Oh,
We just
just do
let
it?
her do it,
Okay.
because it's gotta be paid anyways. But on her email, she said the balance was 6,000. She's got invoices of 16,500, and the OT is 2,400. So there's gotta be a deficit in the account.
So how much do you think she was, did she say she was down already?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
6,000?
she's, well, the balance is 6,000, so 60, 70, 18,000 she's gotta pay. So, but she may have more, because it's only February.
Well, March
We've
could
got
be ugly.
March and April sometimes too.
So what do we have to do?
So we have to
Make-
vote to let
make a
her,
motion
yeah,
To
Uh,
just allow,
her
what do
to,
we say, just allow?
Yeah, just a motion to allow for deficit spending in
Yeah.
snow and ice, and it's not so much allowing Jean to do, it's allowing the DPW to, Jean, poor Jean
Yeah.
just processing the bills.
yeah, yeah,
She didn't expend the funds.
but to let them buy what they need, so we have nice roads, not ice and
Right.
snow.
To say operate as a deficit? I just would you say operate?
It's just a motion to allow for
allow.
deficit spending
Oh.
in snow and ice, and that's in accordance with Mass General
Okay.
laws.
Yeah,
where
we
they can do
usually
that.
have to do it every
Yeah.
year.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow the DPW to spend, the deficit spend for the snow and ice for, what's that, 2020, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for fiscal year 2020.
Have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So I left my bottle of water over there.
Heather, speaking of the
Thank you.
DPW, I don't know how long you've been working here. What was it, a couple of
3 days.
3
It's
days?
3 days.
You-
Today concludes the 3rd.
You happen, I mean, you want to
Got any
run the
gray
subject
hair
of
yet?
DPW. I'm interested in the Chapter 90 fund. Probably haven't got into any of that yet.
So the only thing I can tell you is when I had a conversation with Jean earlier this week,
Yeah.
she had mentioned that there's 2 different sums of money of which spending has occurred. One was for last fiscal and one is for this current fiscal.
Right.
And last fiscal's year end, we still had about 300,000 that we hadn't got back from the state yet.
Because he hadn't submitted paperwork, from what I understand.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure, I haven't had the opportunity to speak with Jason
Right,
yet.
yeah.
But I believe that there was about 300 at the year end
Right.
last year, and this year, with what's been approved and things
Mm.
like that, I think there's about 600 and something.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure what the status is, I just know the money hasn't come in.
right, which means that would be taken out of our free cash.
Yes,
If it isn't-
potentially for next time. We did just get our FY19 free cash certified, and of
Mhm.
course I left that upstairs, but I can run up
That's okay.
when I
That's
get.
okay.
No, you wouldn't know where to find it, Sienna. I don't know which folder I stuck it. I think I stuck in my read folder. But we just got notified where'd that come in. It came in between the time Andrew left and I started, probably
Good.
closer to the last week or so. But we have that amount, so I can grab that before the end of the meeting to make sure you guys know what the amount is.
Okay.
That was certified, but when I talked to Jean about it, she said they did not hit us
Mm.
for the chapter
Oh, they
90.
didn't.
Oh.
But if we
Good.
continue and have
Yeah, they will.
outstanding next year, they definitely will, and that will be substantial enough that that would wipe out free cash.
Yeah. For 3 days, that's excellent answer. I like
Oh,
that.
thank you, thank you, I do try.
You did well, very well.
Andrew had said that the estimate he thought was around 300,000.
Mm.
Much higher, I think it's,
Is it?
yep,
Good.
but I'm not
Couple
gonna
years.
guess, I'm gonna go get it.
For a couple of years.
Yeah, push the right one.
Did you people get the email about the Quabbin School?
Mhm.
Yes.
And that's the high budget,
Mhm.
where 13.9 increase?
Mhm. A lot, naturally.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully it comes down.
Mm.
But also there was a email from Hubbardston
Yeah.
too.
So, and they're in deeper.
Yeah. And then, just to let you know, I was at the selectmen meeting Monday night, and the police chief was in because he needs money for uniforms for 2 of the officers that are going to the academy. And they need clothes. But what they told them, the selectmen told them to do, was to wait, just take it from where he can now, because after May 1st, we can move the money into departments and stuff, rather than trying to take it from free cash or come up with it from somewhere. So that'll be coming in. Okay, Tony, you wanna come up?
Oh, Tony's here.
Yeah, he snuck in.
Ted, who seconded your motion? Was it Brian?
Yeah,
Yes,
And you all?
yeah.
yeah.
Ted, did you grab a copy of all the budgets? And if you wanna grab a top packet, it's gonna have the budgets on, I'm all set,
Oh,
I
you
brought
got-
my own copy.
Oh,
It's
okay.
already bound.
Oh,
Did you get them? This. And Jen's got one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It went up a little bit on the budget. Because of the cost of living rates for the salary. But one of the things I did go up on was the expenses. It's costing a little bit more to get things accomplished, like flags, other functions that occur, going to conferences, and doing a lot of traveling now, helping veterans get to appointments. So I've been sort of lax on applying for reimbursement, but I'm going to be going into that now more because there's more and more veterans that are coming out that don't have vehicles, and seniors that can't get to appointments and stuff.
you gotta do it.
Yeah.
So, it just went up a little bit. And then the benefits budget, I went up 10,000 because I had anticipated, that there was going to be more veterans coming into the office, and as it's turning out that it's going in the other direction.
Down?
Well, we're losing veterans, and because I'm getting them into the VA system, getting them some benefits through the VA, budgets are going down a little bit.
You say you'll lose them. Are they moving out?
Well, some of them pass away,
Oh, okay.
and some of them move out, yes.
They do go somewhere else?
Yeah, they do. They find another town to play with, and this way I call it.
I just wondered what that meant, whether you were,
We just lost one of my clients that I had, Al Freeman, passed away Sunday. He was 76.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
His brother passed away just recently.
Yes, he did, and I think Al felt that it was, since his brother went, it was time for him to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't a penny stocking, he just let himself go. So,
Yeah, he didn't look too good at Dick's funeral.
he was down to 125 pounds.
oh, Lord.
So he had lost a lot. His nephew was trying to help him out. He lives in Ocam. He wasn't doing well. He was doing his meds and everything else. His nephew, who was his power of attorney, wanted him to come live with him. So I said, once you get over that line in Ocam,
For
you're
rule.
outside of my jurisdiction, but I will help you work through the system and everything
Yeah.
else. So he lasted 2 days at his nephew's house. And he realized that he was not healthy, so off he went to the hospital. So came home for 2 days, and then he ended up in a dementia center, and then back in the Hayward Hospital for the final couple of weeks. And it's not nice. So far this year, we've had 11 veterans pass away in town. It's been a pretty tough year.
Mhm.
And supplying them with anything they need or trying to help them out, the families. It's there, we're doing the best we can. Working with the Legion, trying to coordinate, honor guard and everything else. So,
Bless you.
and I'm not sure this year, Memorial Day is gonna be on the 25th of May. It's real early. Fortunately for us, we've had McCarthy donate buses for the events, which is saving the town probably $750 a year. It's $250 a bus. Which is scary. Other than that, we through the office, we're going to be doing one other thing this year too. We're going to be upgrading the Vietnam Memorial. We have a group of veterans who would like to get on the memorial, and it's not a costly thing, it's just a timely thing. Installing their names on the monument itself, moving one name. So that's about what I can tell you right now. But the budget, the benefits budget, I was assuming that things were going to continue on the way they were, and they haven't. They're starting to decline. And because there was a cost of living raise through Social Security and the VA, a lot of the budgets went down $300-400, which was surprising. When I first started into it, I said, "So this is going to be scary." And it's turned out better for the town at this time. And like that it takes a year for anything we submit now to get reimbursed.
Yeah.
If you don't pay your taxes, it'll be on you in 3 weeks or something.
You got it.
And everything's been going good with the budget-wise and everything. The reimbursements have been showing up that they're going according to what they should be. So,
Yeah.
and I've been working with Gene to make sure that they've been coming in and everything else. Our transition with the new treasurer and some of the things that occur, with open here and stuff, trying to get everything working in the right direction. It's been good.
Good. It's good to hear.
Good job.
So here we are. And everybody's gonna look at I bet nobody looks at the budget for the veterans, when they get the booklet. It'll be a
Well,
couple.
they look at it if it has a big plus,
Yeah.
$10,000 or something. Other than that, they
We'll see what
won't.
happens on
Yeah.
town meeting day instructions. I think, I've been doing this for, 15 years now. And when I first came in, the salary was really up there. And I said to whoever it was, I'm working, I don't need this salary.
The times have changed.
Yeah, well, I'm retired. I'm living on a fixed income.
Isn't that fun?
But, in case somebody in the future is going to entertain the idea of taking over this job, they need some incentive. This particular town is not a tough one to work with. The majority of the veterans know that they're getting a benefit, so they're working. And as I keep pushing them into the VA, it keeps them off of these roles here, so we're doing good.
Good.
Very good.
That's my story. Not being photographed.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I think that
Good job.
a little calming influence there for sure.
Yeah.
Do I want to get this or you leave it
No,
here?
you can.
You Put it under
Did you
your
want to
pillow.
take your budget?
You Put it
Yeah,
under
just
your
take it.
pillow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like you're-
No.
He doesn't want live
If it'll
reading.
make you happy, I'll take it, because I know how hard you work.
I put those together.
She's an asset, let me tell you. If I've ever had any problems with the computers, or I have a little glitch somewhere along the line, Sandy, you got a minute? She's about this deep in paperwork, yeah, sure, no problem. So, I just, my hat's off to you, you know. You gotta get a raise. I want to give her a raise. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
All right,
thanks.
thanks for coming in.
See what this new system doesn't give you is this breakdown.
That- Oh,
You know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know, the
It doesn't
problem is,
give it
the
to you.
problem is though, when you see that,
I didn't think so.
then you don't know where that got charged. Or if it got charged. That was, I mean, there's not a lot of money here, but a lot of that's hard to track then. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
do you put it out here if you can't track it in the end? I don't know, that's a
Yeah,
tough thing to,
Yeah, well, see,
I've
they
been wondering
don't,
about that.
they're veterans' expenses, the new
Yeah.
system. It doesn't, in your report, doesn't give you the itemized, like the old one did.
Even if you link to it, you can't even open it up. Let it go.
You can't print it, right?
Okay.
You can print those details, and the other problem comes down to is whether or not they're entered in. So what the system recognizes is the account numbers. So if there's an account number for something, it will give you the detail of the past million years
Yes.
of everything that
That's right.
happened with it. But if there's details to the account that don't have a number, like, think of it as like sub things, or what makes
Yeah,
up that
like on
account,
this.
there's no ability to currently track it based on what we currently have with ClearGov that I'm aware of, that allows you to see, okay, well, cemetery flags and, you know, FY18 was this number, now it's this number. And the only way we would know if there's any details about it, and it may not have been entered, I'm guessing, did Andrew probably enter in Tony's? So he might have entered in Tony's budget, but if Andrew didn't enter in cemetery flags 1,000 or so forth,
You didn't expand it.
yes, but all the way over to the very right, and if this cooperates, I can show you guys, all the way over to the very right, there's like this box on every line item,
Yes.
and if you click on it, it gives you details. But this one didn't have the details, or we would have printed them on that front sheet. When you go up to some of the other budgets, like the
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen budgets and
Right.
stuff, those have additional extensive details that were typed in with the backup on stuff, and that stuff is printed out. Like, we put that in the, we call it the detailed notes section. So we did itemize that in our piece, but the downside, as Claire mentioned, is it doesn't really,
Compare 'em.
it's not gonna make everyone very happy because the numbers aren't gonna be laid out from the last 6 years to this year when it comes to the details. So if you wanna see, if you turn to the Board of Selectmen stuff, you wanna see office supplies, well, this year it's 3,000 as part of the subset, and last year office supplies, let's see, it was 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. But aside from, Claire and I discussed it, aside from me then stopping to input all that data in and go into, you know, 4
It doesn't
hours per
give you the
spreadsheet,
comparison.
we thought we would at least start with this and then, you know, maybe talk at the end of tonight's meeting and see where you guys wanted to go from there. So,
It doesn't give you the
'cause
comparison
the old
from
thing
last
that
year.
we
There's
had
an
with
increase
these,
in
you see
that
all these
line
details.
item.
It was in there.
So you wanna see some guy put in tires. Did he ever get charged? Did they buy something else other than tires? What number did they charge it to? It's all a mystery.
but we
Okay.
love mysteries.
Well, I'm just saying is that, you know, why do you tell us all these details, but you can't say if they spent the money or what they spent it for? Because when you go looking at, you don't know what happened to all of that. So
Well-
you sit back and I'm saying, yeah, they got a lot of detail. Well, good's it gonna do me if I didn't like what they were doing or didn't know what they did there? So I don't know what the answer is on that.
Well,
Well,
so one of the things Claire and I had talked about, one of the things that's with every single packet right now, and again, this is just test and
Yeah,
trial. If you
no, I
guys
think
like
it-
it, we
I
can
think it-
continue
Did it
if you
for
don't.
tonight.
But the third set of information Jean had printed out, and what it is, it's the detailed expenses for
Oh,
the account
yeah.
lines
Yeah.
for this current year. So it does itemize out what's been spent so far, so sometimes you can tell more about the item than others.
This guy here, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
and it does do it for, she did it for most of the accounts. She didn't do it much for most of the salaries accounts because, you know, Peter gets $10
Oh,
every
yeah.
week, so you're just gonna see his name up there, 26.1 times. So that seems a little redundant.
I think
and not
it's a good
helpful.
idea what you're doing.
So.
See how we're doing, step through it, see what
Yeah.
we think works the best.
Yeah.
And if this cooperates, if Rick has success over there, and he's trying, he sure
I
is
see
trying.
that, yeah.
We can probably pull up the website and I can just show you guys what we see. And Claire and I did make a phone call to Frank from ClearGov, who's our rep, and asked, and she heard,
Yeah.
I asked the question, I said, how do I do a report? And he's like, well, you click the report button. Now you click custom, so you only have what you want,
Yeah.
and then you hit export to Excel. And I'm like, but that's a very detailed Excel sheet. He's like, yes, that's a report. And then we asked the silly question, how do we print? Well, you go
Don't.
in Excel to print.
Then you gotta set that thing up, the whole deal.
Yes, but you can't, so it doesn't appear that the current functionalities of the program allow for a pretty report to be printed out. We
Yeah.
did ask about that,
Yeah.
and he said they're working on
It's
it.
in the process.
Well, I will say that, I mean, this ClearGov is the best we've seen. So as we go along, if we can improve on it, that'll be great. But, you know, it's a hell of a lot better than we had before.
Oh, yeah. The other thing we had before was you'd get a sheet to start out with, wasn't even a date on it. Then you get another, oh, there's the update. There wasn't a date or a page. And afterwards, I had piles of paper. I don't know which one was the real one. So this system, when I go online, that's the real one. So I can actually see what the number is now. And this thing Andrew gave us was the first shot at one time. So if I go in now, if it doesn't compare to that, then I know something is updated. So one of the thoughts I had was it'd be nice to say, oh, so-and-so is now updated, be able to print that. But on this, I don't want that coming out.
No?
Why do you need-
All right.
Why do you need to print it? You can look at it. Why do you need to print it?
Because all you do on that computer is shift here or here. It doesn't all show up
to
again.
compare
Shift, it's a pain in the ass. And a lot of times it'll just say, bye-bye, you didn't move the mouse lately, zing! And that's another one that, but, so, I mean, I think
And
this is a
it's
good
not-
way. Let's
the
start
screen
and
isn't
see how we're gonna
big
do,
enough.
and see where we end up with.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I took out 2 columns on the screen.
I think
Yes.
that's
That
a
I
great
wrote
You can
idea.
modify it.
Yeah,
The baseline, was
Yeah,
it?
I'm not sure what the,
I wondered what
that
that
is
was. And then the other one next to it.
yeah.
I said I
But
don't
there's
want
a lot
to see
you don't-
those 2
but
columns,
some of
and then
that
I
stuff
could
you
get
don't
it
need.
into my
You'd like to
screen.
get it maybe later, but you
What I
don't need
wanted
it
to
cluttering
see.
up the deal.
But I thought, I hope I'm not missing something. But I had a note to ask you if you knew what those were.
No, I do not, Claire, but I will find out for you. Did you want to move on to the Board of Health budget? Because I know they weren't able to make it tonight, so Andrea went over.
Oh,
With
they
it, with
couldn't.
me?
Okay, yep.
So in your packets, I think it's probably the top, or it's either the top or the very bottom. So it's delineated from all the Board of Selectmen stuff. So at the very bottom of your packet, the last one is the Board of Health piece. So one of the things that came up when Claire and I were doing these is in years past, the person who did this was very familiar with the budget, and they knew everything that was under the jurisdiction of the Board of Health. So they went in and they found all the account lines and they stuck them all together. Our accounting system and how our numbers are set up actually divide a lot of those responsibilities out to different things. So you have the Board of Health section, which falls under its own department, which I believe is like 510 or 55, I think it's 551, one of the two. But it falls on its own account, and then you have things like the not the transfer station, I'm sorry, the cap for the dump. What is it formally called, Claire? Hold on.
The landfill.
Landfill, thank you.
Yeah.
The cap for the landfill. So that actually falls under coding for the accounting section under Public Works. So to find the number and find the information I had to go look under there to find the information and bring it back
That's the
somewhere
other
else.
problem
So you're not gonna
with
see it on
that.
here, but I did talk to Andrea and the numbers are the exact same, and if this works, I can show you on here. But that's one of the things that makes some of, transitioning to ClearGov from those spreadsheets a little harder, because we don't always know where all the information is. And sometimes some of the titles of things had changed.
Yeah.
So for instance, when you look at the Board of Health piece here, you see that it says under other expenses, I'm just jumping around for a moment here. You see it says consultant expenses. Well, I asked Andrea about that. Well, that's for the dump. Or not the dump, I'm so sorry, I wanna call it the dump.
Landfill.
The capped
Landfill.
landfill. The dumps, I don't know, I'm just so used to things being the dump and then being capped from prior, anyway. So the capped landfill. So that is the consulting expenses, but you see $0 in each of them, because when we pull these numbers from the budget, from ClearGov, there was nothing else to represent these two things, so we left them blank, because I didn't have the ability until afterwards to go back in and realize that they're in a different account number. So if you go on to ClearGov and you say, well, what's the Board of Health total? It's gonna total it without the capped landfill. Capped landfill, did I do it right that time? The capped landfill as part of the calculations, because it shows it as later on in the budget. Does that make sense? So if you're saying, okay, what's the Board of Health total at the end of the night, and you see here that, 21's request is 32,000, and you say, wait a minute, I thought it was higher than that because we have the capped landfill. Well, it is, but when you're comparing it to ClearGov, the number's gonna be different because it shows the landfill in a different section.
Why? Why is it?
Why?
Because they-
Because it follows the state requirements on
forget it.
how to do the coding.
Forget
So
it.
they code, so if you look at the whole budget and you look at the breakdown of things, it codes things as general government, culture and recreation, public works, public safety, all of these different categories.
I see.
And it believes that the code and the code they use to be standard
Yeah.
for the capped landfill, believe it or not, almost everything has its own code already, falls under the section that would fall under public works.
All right, I understand.
And you
So
can't
it's very,
change-
State did it.
It's
too.
very
No,
hard to
because
find.
that's the accounting number that it has. Jean would be very unhappy if we changed it to be non-conforming with Massachusetts requirements
so
for some
you
reason.
have to look
But
for
somehow
it.
you have to find it and get it in this box.
Yes, yes. So I can work on that more moving
Yeah.
forward with some of the other ones. But I just want you to be aware that I'll try to point that out. I just don't want you to take this bottom number, add in the landfill, and then go, it doesn't match. Something's wrong. Okay. All right, so Board of Health budget. So I talked to Andrea about it. So a couple of years ago, how they had always done the wages for the inspection services
Oh, yeah.
admin salary, the second box down.
Yeah.
Was that they had always split it between building and Board of Health. Last year, Andrew had tried something different and tried combining the two of them together. And Andrea had requested that this year that they divide them back up. She was concerned because she has two different job descriptions, she kind of has two different bosses for those pieces, and she just thought it would be cleaner if they were separated. So Andrew put it in the budget, or Andrea and Andrew put it in the budget as two separate pieces again. So if you want to see how much she makes, you have to look at both lines.
So you add them together.
Yes, and we don't have the building one here.
So this is the same person with two sort of job type
Yes,
things to deal
divided,
with.
cut in half.
Okay, so that's why
A
the
little
number
less
went
than
down.
half. So the Board of Health here, it's only representing 19 hours, and she had the building department representing 21 hours.
And the building one is in the building department.
Yes, which we're not seeing tonight. We might be seeing two more times, Claire, because I think it's on the agenda twice, but not tonight.
Yeah, but she caught it and she's moving somebody into one
But I
slot.
was looking forward to doing building twice. Okay. All right, so that's the wages for her. I believe that does encompass a 2% increased reflection of a cost of living or an adjustment that they do annually. I have not had the opportunity to go through and double check everyone's personnel numbers yet. I just located the wage chart today. And I located the Excel sheet that talks about every employee, what step and what their current rate of pay is. So we just need to make sure, because this year, for the first time, people can put in their own amounts in that line, as opposed to before Andrew, I believe, used to fill it in for them. So now that they have access on ClearGov, we just want to make sure that when Claire puts in that her department's wages are $250 million, that it's the correct number.
Now, that's a question I have for you on this ClearGov.
I love questions, Claire.
Who, yeah. If they go in and change a number, and somebody just does it, what keeps them from, who can enter into it? Just the department head?
So I don't have the answer to that question. I believe the only ones who have authority to use ClearGov, and they're set up in the permissions, and again, if I was able to,
Yeah.
I would love to share. I believe it says who all the department heads and all their emails are,
Yeah,
and where they have authority. Now, I don't know if the permissions, and Sandy, maybe you know, do you know if the permissions allowed it, Andrew, to restrict it to certain account lines?
It was restricted to him, you people.
We can't change it.
You
can
can't
look at it.
change it,
No.
you can look at it, but if they wanted to make a change, they go to the comment, make a comment, and then Andrew and everybody.
okay, so it's
Right.
control.
Now, what about department heads, though?
Yes.
Can they only access their own budget, or can they access other people's budget?
No, their own budget.
Their own budget.
Their own budget.
Okay.
But let's say when they
I
did their
was
budget
worried
and
about
they
it.
put in
It
a
could
number
go
that's
haywire.
5%, because they felt they needed 5%.
You know,
Okay,
it
but that
could
number
go
will go in
haywire.
and show up.
Yeah,
And I
no.
thought,
If that number was originally entered, I believe that's what will show
Right.
up until we review
So,
it,
you're right.
and then make any modifications. I
Yeah.
believe, Claire, that remember when we looked at my all-powerful
Yeah,
window?
yeah.
I believe that there was a section that shows all the changes,
yeah,
that you can go to the audit trail. And then
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
you
at
both
some
did.
time, I don't know, I have to talk with Frank, because I haven't been actually trained on ClearGov. I've been playing around, you know, just looking at things, trying not to touch too much, because I'm not sure what I'm doing with it yet. But I think I need to check with Frank and see, I'm guessing there's probably a way to lock it, so that after you say, okay, everything's in, no one can change anything but these.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I
yeah.
think that's what you can do, but I don't,
I would
I'm
hope
guessing.
so,
Yeah.
you know,
So.
so they don't change it at the last minute.
So,
Yeah. I think
You
Frank
could
should,
always get into a,
I think Frank should come out and give you a,
Who's Frank,
So
the head
it's
of
locked.
the head of this guy?
the clear,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Sandy believes it's locked
It's
once it's
locked,
entered.
Yeah,
No,
because
but-
they were,
excuse me, but if Frank is available, he should come out and give you a course, ClearGov 101, right? You haven't worked with it before, is that correct?
I have not dealt with
Yeah.
ClearGov before,
yeah.
no.
I think he should give us all a,
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
I can ask.
you know, cause and I'm was a computer programmer and all of that, and it's just like,
Well,
I don't know,
What do you think, really?
cause I know all the mistakes that
You're
can be made.
amazing.
set up as requester and then authorizer or whatever they do.
Yeah, when it works.
To go in, you would plug in a figure, they would look at it, make a comment. if they
The one down there, but it
increase
looks like we're already connected.
And then it went to you, and you guys
Awesome.
put
Yeah.
yea or nay, I guess.
So Claire, well, I'm just taking a second to pull that up.
Yep.
That's the free cash, if you wanted to share that.
Oh, okay.
I tried to make copies, but then I remembered I didn't have my password.
That's
so-
good.
Oh,
634,
yeah,
How much?
634, 774,
good.
good,
We'll do it.
654,
774, yeah, yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah.
That's a deal, huh?
It's just a number in the sky. People don't realize that.
That's not really title, is it? Unexplained.
Oh, that's good.
Always rush.
light reading.
I just had a question.
I love
Heather,
questions, Claire.
on
I'm all yours.
inspection services. The admin salary went down.
Yes, because remember, we were talking about how
They're
it's only.
splitting now.
Yes, yes, so
Okay.
it's only 19 hours of
Okay.
Andrea's time, and the other 21 will show up in the building department.
Okay.
I also asked about some of, how everything is taken care of and who's paid out of what. And she said that Phil, who's the alternate health agent, he
Yeah.
covers the food, housing, and septic inspections. He actually is paid out of the revolving fund. So they recently adjusted
okay.
some of the fees. And what happens is, let's say the fee is $150. $100 of the fee might go into the revolving fund, and let's say Phil charges us $100, so that
Yeah.
breaks even. And then the additional $50 charged would go to the town in the regular general fund health department fees line
Yeah.
and stay there as like an administrative
Yeah.
cost. I don't know the complete breakdown, but she just gave that as one of the
Yeah.
examples. And I
Yeah.
know they had designed that a while ago for some of the fees. I don't know when, and I don't know which fees that affects, but that's currently how Phil's paid. So Phil's completely covered by the cost of his inspections. And then Dana, who's one of the Board of Health members,
Yeah.
he does some of the field work, but doesn't get any additional supplement outside of the Board of Health stipend. And then Andrea, she gets $100 per pay period to go out and take pictures and follow up with any of those hands-on pieces, in addition to her administrative duties.
Good.
And that comes out of the Board of Health agent salary line, which is the 7,200. They don't generally expend that 7,200, it's closer to that 2,600. But when they had discussed it with Andrew, she had discussed it with Andrew in the past, my understanding is that they believe that they should still continue to carry something forward in case something happens and they need to actually hire
Yeah.
someone to come in as the Board of Health agent,
Yeah.
so that they have some funds available for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Board of Health expenses, otherwise, those stayed level, the training stayed level. And as we talked about the consultant fees that you see listed here, what that really is the capped landfill.
You got it.
And I'll pull it up on the screen, I think that might have gone up slightly to like $10,200 being the total. But I'm gonna, as soon as I can log in, I will find that out.
Good.
What was the reason given that no one could show up at the meeting? From the Board of Health?
I don't know, was tonight's meeting the original meeting for them, or did it get
No,
changed?
was not the original one. The original one
So
was
they may not
what,
have
2 weeks ago?
availability.
Really?
Right, the original one was a couple weeks ago for them. Yeah.
Okay.
You never know.
Okay, that's true. It's not easy.
You can always call it in again.
Ah, so we're moving on here?
Well, she's gonna.
We can
pull
move
up.
on if you like, I can circle back around to this
Oh,
if you
you're
guys
trying
like.
to
She's pulling that up.
Trying to have
Off the Board of
success.
Health.
We're not there yet. So close, so close. There's my password, I'm gonna be changing that quickly.
I did get into it today,
Awesome.
so shoot.
Hit backspace.
The other day I got into it, and then I went to get into it the next day. I couldn't.
Okay, so we are Alright, so this is the Board of Health line here. Let's see, and why is their line higher than my line? Oh, cause it's not FY '21, that's why. There we go, okay. So, and you can see it's lower by, what's it say here, it looks like $21,741, which is probably just about the approximate of 21 hours for the inspection services, since
Yeah.
19 is 20,000. So that's what you see for the difference there. As we talked about, that other line, which was the capped landfill. Let's see where that is. Sanitary landfill is what's filed under. And you have, let's see, $8,250 total. So you have sanitary landfill for $8,000, and then $250 for laboratory testing.
And that department was what again, DPW, you said?
Nope, that's under, it's just under sanitary landfill.
So that should be Board of Health?
Hmm?
That should be the Board of Health then?
Yes, it's part of the Board of
Yeah.
Health, but it shows up, so it shows up when you categorize all the different groups of things in a category under Public Works and Facilities, which means that if you look at the Board of Health line in the total summary, the total number, it's gonna match this 32,846, but if you write into it the landfill number, it's not going to match the sheet of paper, because it's in a different section. And then the other piece, I think that's also probably theirs, is was it the inspectional services? Is that theirs as well, Claire?
Yeah,
Because I don't think we included that, because that's in its own little spot too.
Yeah,
Inspector of
'cause those-
Animals,
does that go under Board of Health? The Inspector of Animals?
Used to be something that,
I looked at that today and I couldn't remember.
It
which
looks
one.
like on-
To it, oh my gosh, I'm trying to blank on his name, up on Winship Road.
Chef.
Huh?
Oh, no, Winship.
Not, it was,
No.
Tony.
Tony used to do that.
Kukas,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was through the Board of Health, I know, 'cause
so looking at last year's budget worksheet, it's the
Yeah.
last item under the Board of Health section, the Inspector of Animals stipend. And it was $600, and it looks like it's staying the same, the requested amount. Anything else I can show everyone on here? Are we good so far?
I'd say so far. Once we start in the selectments. That's the one that I have. This is this one.
what are the constant payments for the Board of Health? And then 100 was for, share rentals, I forget.
It's
Anyway,
good
well,
we
what's the
have days.
$1,400 constant before 1,300, 1,400?
Where are you looking, Greg?
The services admin salary, who's the admin Board of Health that's at
Services admin salary?
the? Yeah.
That is Andrea. She's currently this current fiscal year, her entire salary is coming out of one line. Next fiscal year, the proposal is to split it back to the way it was the year before, which is partially out of Board of Health and partially out of the building department.
Okay. That's why it was that high, because I knew it was, it used to be.
Yeah, no, that's,
Yeah,
gotta watch both hands, I guess.
yeah.
And why does $100 separate though from that for the other portions? Just for bookkeeping purposes, or is it?
The $100 is coming out of a different line, it's coming out of the Board of Health agent salary as a stipend, and it's for the additional responsibilities and duties of going out, I guess, to do photos for the inspections, is my understanding. So if something comes up, like say resident A complains about resident B's, property having something they believe is a problem going on, she would go out and take the pictures and bring them back and then hand them off to whoever was gonna do the inspection.
So that's all done after hours outside of her regular work hours, or she needs a separate pay for it? I've asked Andrew about that before, because I don't understand why she gets a separate pay, when I think she's only here for her desk hours.
I don't,
$5,000.
It's like a stipend. It's like the assessors get a stipend, too. They get 10 times what it is.
I don't have the answer to your question, I can find out for you.
It would seem like a task to be done into the full-time
It
job.
certainly
It doesn't
seems
have
that
to be-
way.
It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
a stipend position separately. It's-
Yeah, it would
that was-
seem
I would
that's
imagine that
part
was a
of your
stipend
job.
position before we had the full-time job, and now that we have the full-time job, I don't think that should be there. But
I
I've
agree.
suggested it to Andrew, but he didn't get away with it, but
Yeah.
I'm interested in looking into that.
So there's a
I-
little note.
I made a note, I don't know
Something
the
else.
answer.
Well, I'm just,
In my, unfortunately,
curious,
my
maybe-
72 hours, it hasn't come up as a question yet,
there may be a
but.
legal reason why it has to be separate that way, I don't. I would imagine that we'd have to trace back to when that stipend began, and my guess would be that stipend began before the full-time position.
Yeah.
I think it did.
Which really, it should have gone away with the full-time, it should have
Yeah.
been in addition to.
And it
When
wasn't
do they
caught.
when do they actually do the work, you know?
I don't think there's any real work done for it, that's my point.
Building
She's-
inspector used to do it.
Right, she's here during the day, all day, every day. I don't think that maybe, unless we ask her to trace it and see what she's doing for that outside of hours, we ought to eliminate and merge that with the other kind of position, I would think.
I mean, to me, if it's outside hours and you're driving, you need,
If-
really
if
had to
that's
pay
the
for the.
case.
you should
But there should be a
put in-
case-by-case basis.
Right,
Yeah.
put in the
Unless
mileage and,
justifies
It
a
could be
stipend at that
done
point.
yeah, the
during-
mileage and the whatever, put it in,
I
I
don't,
think.
I have no idea, I don't know how often
Yeah.
these come up.
Because it could be done during the workday.
I can't believe anything's
Depends
that
what
big an
it is.
emergency that they have to go out off
Yeah.
hours to do it.
I don't know.
Well, does it cover her mileage for a car, though? We have to use her own vehicle.
I would imagine she's here.
If somebody was
during
here
the
from the
day,
Board of Health, they
she
can
could
answer
take
that.
the inspection vehicle during the day.
Mileage reimbursement for the IRS is like 55 cents a mile for 2020. It's not that high. Varies not that
You know
big.
it costs $2.
I will happily follow up and I'll get back to Greg and I'll report back to this board the
No,
next
man,
time we
it's
meet.
a good question.
Yeah.
We do have the inspection vehicle, which is here with, should be
Yeah.
here with Brianna during those hours. And don't we have a second one that's down that James has at the fire station?
Such as it
There'll be
is.
2 electric vehicles kicking around. There's always town vehicles, Steve, so
Yeah.
we don't, we can make a point to make them available to not. And I've suggested this before, instead of paying people mileage on the vehicles when they go to classes and go out of state and things, we should have the town vehicle dedicated. We can buy a Hyundai for $13,000 brand new. It'll take us 5 years down the road, it would cost us nothing to insure. And believe me, they cost pennies a mile to drive, we make out like a bandit instead of paying 55 cents a mile to somebody. Run it 5 years, throw it in the trash, and get another one.
Yeah.
That's, costs about $3 grand a year to own it. I'll guarantee we're paying more than that mileage to people. And that's, we should share a vehicle for
Yeah.
whatever.
And it's a wonderful tool.
These are things I've said before, just not here.
Yeah.
And they don't go too far, but
Doesn't make sense.
these little things add up, if we're getting an extra 5,000 here for something that's really a position that's not needed, and maybe it is, I don't know.
What are the posted hours for her to be at her desk? Like, is it 8.5 hours a day with her half-hour lunch, or are they only open 9 to 4?
As far as I know, she's here when the office is open, which I don't think she comes in till, I bet not 9, I've been
She
here.
comes in before 8.
Yeah.
I've been here a lot of times at 8, she hasn't been here until after, so usually when I come sign a warrant, it's before 8.
Okay.
So her office hours must be 8 to whatever. So,
Tuesday, I know she's here early.
It's day 3, everyone has different hours in the building. I can find the answer to the question, but I don't feel like I have enough information
Tuesday,
to
Friday, she's here.
explain it yet.
So she's in the office on Fridays?
I mean, not Friday, sorry, Thursday.
Here's a question I have that I was gonna look at, and I don't know why it didn't click before this. They work 8 hours a day, 4 days a week. 32 hours. Why, now, I just
Should be-
looked at
should be
Board of
10
Health,
hours.
it's 40.
Should be 10 hours a day.
Hours.
I don't know why the hours.
Are they getting paid 40 hours and working 32?
Hi Claire, my name is Heather. I've been here for 72 hours. You ask great questions. I will happily make a note and report back to you at the next meeting.
You know what, in 2 weeks when I sign the next
It
warrant, I'll
just,
see what
it
the payroll
clicked
hours
this
say.
year. I don't know why I didn't think of it before.
I was just thinking about the job, saying, yeah, 4 days a week, that's not too bad. To have Friday off
Well, it
all
could
the
be-
time,
Yeah,
that's a great
but
job.
what are they getting paid? Are they
Oh,
getting
yeah.
paid 40 hours?
But
and
if you had
32?
Friday off and got paid for it every week, that would be
Because I
very
noticed
interesting.
that
The
it
police
says
basically do
40.
With their 4-2s, they get 18 extra days off paid a year.
Because I thought maybe
'Cause
they
they're
were
on 4-2.
working 10-hour days.
Oh yeah, it would be.
Mm,
So
really?
they'd get the Friday
And,
off.
and the
But I
7-day
don't
work
know
week
the
is
hours.
1,
It's
5,
still
2
asking
off.
what the hours are.
And there are 52 of those.
They're working
Yeah,
9
right.
to 4.
So when you have a 6-day work week of 4-2, there are 60 of
Nothing
those.
in town is open while I'm.
Oh,
So there are 62-day off
So
periods.
that's-
Seven.
It's only 7
Instead of
hours.
52 2-day off periods.
9
Eight
to
extra
4.
or 16 extra
All right,
days
let's
off.
start picking on the select. We're
And
gonna
it's
get
still a
through all
40-hour
this.
paycheck.
Move on.
yeah.
This is
Heather,
something
the other
that went
thing,
through
they
at
work
some
9
point
to
in there.
4, right?
I don't know
But I know the police are 40.
specifically, Claire, I
Do
know
they?
there's a number of departments
are all paid
that
shifts.
beat me
Yeah.
in. Like
People
every
that
time I
result
get
40.
here earlier
Yeah.
and earlier, they're here
So
before
I would assume
me.
they're based on 40 hours.
I'm scheduled 9 to 5.
Wow.
9 to 5.
I come in at 8:30, I sign in at 9 because I take that half-hour lunch.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a
Right.
8-hour day.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, and our two both are here for tonight, another night to meet.
yeah, yeah,
Off hours that we know they're here, that bring them over 40 typically.
yeah. But
But,
I'm thinking of the ones
I
that,
don't know, yeah. I
and
don't
if they
know.
work 9 to 4, that's only 7 hours.
Right.
Because some of them are only open 9 to 4.
Well, let's discuss something we know the answers to. Instead of
Be
wasting
be good to
time.
find out.
Do we have any answers
No, we're
that
not
we know?
wasting time.
Not looking to cut anyone's pay, but if we should
We're
get 40
just-
hours out of them, we should get 40 hours.
That's right.
I don't,
Well,
I
let's
don't
find the
know.
answer first before we argue about it.
I don't know what when we cut the town hall to 4 days a week, most towns are 5 days.
Yeah, why do we do
I
that?
thought that
Save-
was just
save
some.
money.
Done way before I got in office, done for years before I got in
To
office.
save money.
Huh?
Save money in the building perhaps, but
You can't save money if you pay somebody for not doing it, for not
Yeah,
working.
but I thought it was just summertime.
No, I think he did it because of financial reasons.
Yes, it
Oh.
was.
Yes, yeah.
I can't believe it costs that much more to run the building.
I don't remember.
No, but
The heat, the winter.
we can change that now.
He's still going,
We can change that.
you know. I don't, I know everyone likes the 4-day work weeks, but,
Which one do we want
I
to
don't
take
understand
first?
why.
How about
I don't
the
know if
plain
they
Board of
adjusted that
Selectmen
idea.
one? Because that's the next one in the
Usually
packet,
right before you
Claire.
go to 4:10.
Yeah,
Okay,
So you'd expect to say 7 to 5.
Well, that
4
one's
days,
the
4
Board of
days a
Health.
week, and I'd be okay with that.
Cut that one away.
Building a-
Board of Selectmen, yeah.
Gives people a better opportunity to get before they have to
That's my
work.
progress.
But I don't know if they adjust.
And that's mine. Copy from, I didn't make any notes on it.
All right, so the next packet that you have is the Board of Selectmen one, and this one is comprised of the salaries and wages and the select board expenses. And Greg, you missed a little bit at the beginning when I just kind of explained what Claire and I had did here. So we took the information off of ClearGov, which you can see right here. I'm currently highlighting, I hope, if all goes well. So you have the selectmen, it breaks it down into the salaries and the other expenses. As we discussed earlier, is this only allows us to see things if there's an actual account number that's been assigned to that piece. So a lot of times in the past, we've gone very detailed and said this line item consists of office supplies, postage, legal ads, and so forth. But this doesn't allow us to see that trend over time. All it allows us to see, because it's not an account number, is over here, do you all see this box that my mouse is pointing to? I don't know if I can make it any
which
bigger.
box?
This one right here.
Oh, yeah.
Lock.
See the box? So it's between the lock and the question mark. If you click that, it will pop up what they say is the subline item details. So if a department puts
Oh.
in the details, the office supplies, all of these things, you can see them. If we had done last year using this budget, you would have been able to click on this to see last year, but I don't think there's, as far as I know, there's not a way to see the lines
No,
next to each other.
But theoretically, that takes care of
Yes.
this issue if it's put in there all the time.
Yes, if
correct?
it's always put in there, it does, but
Yeah.
it doesn't allow you to see what you guys are
The
used to,
trend.
which is
A trend.
seeing office supplies over 4
Yeah.
years or 4
Yeah,
different
right, gotcha.
pieces of the budget.
Yeah.
So,
Which
but
is-
that's where you have to go for that, but whenever Claire and I saw those details, we covered them in what we put here is detailed notes on the front cover. The second page, Greg, is the FY20's budget worksheet. We made a photocopy of it, included it, just because Claire thought it would be a great idea so people could see if they wanted to look at those trends. And then the next couple pages, to Ted's point, are kind of what was actually spent thus far this fiscal year out of that line, because sometimes folks want to know, we approved this for this, but was this actually spent out of it, or was it spent for tires or something else? So that's what you have here in the packet of information.
Because we go back and look at 20 and 21 that they've put in here to see if it went up. And those are usually the things you look at first. At least I do.
I'm curious what some of these items are, because I don't know what they are, the MMHR.
That
Yeah,
MMA,
so-
boy, MMA's in there a lot, whatever that
Yeah.
magic
Yes.
is.
MMA,
Yeah.
there's some substantial funds as well.
Sure, so
Big
there,
Brothers Global, I don't know what they are.
so I can tell you a couple of these, but in general, I think, like I said, this is kind of just giving you an overall. If you look under the invoice section, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around the 5th or 6th line in on the expenditure report,
Yep.
it says the invoice, and it gives you a little detail sometimes of what it is.
Oh,
So some
okay.
of these are dues, annual dues membership. So a lot of those MMs have to do with membership organizations. So MMA, Mass Municipal Association, which is gonna be a large one, 917, that's for the entire town. So that's for the town to be a member of the Mass Municipal Association. Under the Mass Municipal Association, you have the, what do you call it? The Massachusetts Finance Association.
Right. You-
Which
you've
most
been to those
finance
things.
committees are probably, you guys are probably a member
Yeah.
as well. You also have all the other Ms and As, right? So you have in here MMHR, which is now Mass Municipal Human Resource Association. Used to formerly be MMPA, but they recently changed their name. Then you have MMMA, Mass Municipal Managers Association.
Yeah.
And then you have STAM, Small Town Administrators of Massachusetts. And then there's a few other acronyms, but those are your major ones, so once you see them beyond here for dues, the other things you're seeing on here are for trainings. So every month or every couple months, a lot of these organizations offer trainings, they cost, somewhere between $10 and $40 for a training on average. And they provide professional development, continued education. What a lot of them cover is, depending on which section it is, they'll either cover updates on laws for personnel, different things for policies, things that have come up, problem cases, updates of the legislature, what's going on. Other things will be more professional training, usually like the MMMA, the Mass Municipal Managers Association, will often provide different trainings on how to communicate, how to do a better job, how to do strategic plans. Like, they always pick one topic where people can improve and get information, and depending on the subject matter and the timing of the meeting, most of us always try to make as many as we can, just because it's great not only to have the information, but it's also fantastic networking opportunities to bring more resources back to the towns.
So the biggest numbers are 225 to MMHR, 917 to MMA, 617 to ICMA.
Yeah,
Um,
so those are annual membership
Those
dues.
are all annual membership, they cover the whole town, so that's really not a lot
The-
of money, just.
No.
The MMA
Right.
does. MMHR covers us in the treasurer's office for any personnel matters. And then ICMA is the International City Managers Association.
So we say nothing appropriated for that, but is that assumed to come out of the regular appropriations we have? Or are they just not accounted for and we should start accounting for those?
What, I'm sorry, what do you say?
With those
I didn't see the
memberships,
question.
if you slide to the left of where it says expended,
Yep.
it says appropriated is 0, so nothing appropriated for those accounts. Is that
Because we don't appropriate, so remember how we talked about at the beginning, that there's only a line item
Right,
number
that's what I'm asking.
for the whole thing? So yes, so we only appropriate, we say, so if you look back on the cover sheet where it says other expenses under select board expenses, we appropriated last year, or for this fiscal year, $11,320.
And these were anticipated expenses for that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure, I'm saying, geez,
Nope.
that's all, that's all.
Nope, and if you look at these numbers, I mean, they actually tell you the dues amount here, and some of these are dues and some of these are training with dues. Like where you see MMMA at $700, that's not the cost of the whole thing, that's the cost of the dues plus any of the professional
Yeah.
trainings, anything related to the MMHR, as you noted, it was $220, so this is to attend the conferences every couple months.
So we also have $377.94 to Barre Police.
I can't answer the question on that one, but what I would say is.
I don't know either, it would seem weird when we
Yeah.
have something else going to the police side.
So the main reason I really provided this here is because one of the things Claire and I had talked about is some of these departments and some of these things didn't go into the detail to say what was there. So we thought if we provided additional information, it's there. But if you have any specific questions on any of these, I'm happy to sit
It might
down.
be the Barry's Carry Halloween, because the police really run it, so
Yeah,
there might be a
yeah.
portion that went from our expense to that.
Yeah,
That's my guess. But I can't think
that
of
they
anything.
maybe use their own money and then this
Probably
puts it
both.
back.
Probably
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what it's for, but I just was wondering if we knew exactly.
But on the old sheet, the dues and professional development add up to the memberships and the training.
The thing, dues don't have an account number. They have the big box number, that's the number they have. Yeah, so you don't really know how much are paid necessarily in dues. The dues don't have a number, like MMA doesn't have a number, so you see how much do we spend. You gotta go into this big box and then look how many MMAs
Yeah,
you see.
yeah.
So how does anybody know they have an ability to go to an MMA class or whatever?
So most people do what Andrew did here in the detailed notes section, where they actually lay out each of the memberships and the associations.
Yeah.
Because usually sometime around the first of the year, or sometimes a little sooner, we know how much each of these associations is gonna cost for dues.
Mhm.
So you add the dues and you know usually what the regular meeting attendance fee is, right? Like every time you go to a STAM meeting, it's usually about $10. Every time you go to MMHR, it's about $40.
But they tell you what they're gonna have, so you say, oh, I think I wanna go to this.
Well,
And that's
you-
the way it works, right?
So you know you have to pay the dues, and you're never gonna know which meetings you're gonna be able to attend or not, but you know on average, you generally attend
Yeah.
X number of meetings you can usually make, or they have X number of topics that you like. But at the same point, you know, this is the best estimate. If they have
Yeah.
amazing programming for MMMA, maybe you don't go to MMHR and you go to MMMA's thing instead, because,
Gotcha.
you know what I mean? So this is just an estimate of what's happening in all
Yeah.
the departments, like police, fire, DP, this is what they do. Like they say, this is what we know we spend every year for dues based on the estimated number. And most
Yeah.
of them don't have these many programs, but your town administrator position here is a catch-all, right?
Yeah.
They do human resource, they do procurement, they do manager, they're part of the small town, so they tend to belong to a few more associations
Yeah.
than some of the other organizations or the other departments.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's about $3,800 left in that account for the portion this year, so just $960 a month has been pretty evenly balanced and spread throughout the year so far. Month by month, it's dead on schedule to expire the account. But there's probably no more dues due, but
No, but there's meetings and other
Might be some
things.
programs or something
Yep.
that turn out in the spring that
but
people will
it's
go
likely,
to.
I would bet that account only has a leftover balance when it's done. that's okay.
Because I know that
It's small.
finance thing I went to, I thought was very nice,
Yeah.
very well done.
That's good.
Uh,
Police
it's not-
contracts,
it's not money being
DPW
wasted.
contracts, town contracts. That's a good question.
So I can answer
Oh,
that
yeah.
question. So please do note, I have not touched the budget at all since I have inherited it 3 days ago. I have run down it and was able to run down it 2 weeks ago when Andrew was still here. So we were able to cover that. I just wanted to answer that first question though with the expenses. So last year, fiscal 19, I just wanted to see what they ended at, because the question was, does that line end under? Oh, of course, it doesn't tell me what a budget is, let's see. 19 budgeted. Geez, 11,320, it looks like they had spent last year 11,493.59. So it looks like they had spent a little bit more on the expense line than they had
Yeah.
originally budgeted.
Close.
Going to Greg's point, you had asked if it finishes under, and it looks like last year it finished a little over. So, okay, so going to the next question. So wage reserve. So what Andrew did here was he stuck extra money here for the purposes of allowing the select board to have the ability to, when they're negotiating the contracts, know that the funds have already been put aside for that purpose.
To
Yeah.
read in the new,
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got
You
the
gotta have
contracts
something.
coming in.
need wiggle room, hopefully
Oh, yeah.
don't do it, but even,
It's still in the works.
we still usually, we try to give everyone a 2.5% COLA. So we try to keep the union, I would think they'll try to keep the union in there, but I'm not part of that
Yeah,
negotiations.
yeah.
But that gives you other room for whatever they may ask for.
But you gotta have something when you go in.
You
You
gotta
can't
ask,
Yeah.
go in
if
with
you
Yeah.
don't
nothing.
have the availability here, then we gotta come back and ask for it, so then you approve something with them, come to vote, we approve it, they approve, then you bring it to town meeting, the town says no, then you're right back to
Right,
to
you're
the
back,
start.
right,
Yeah.
so you can't do
It
that.
gives you the ability to make some motion without, having
Yep.
an extra town meeting to get something
Makes sense.
rectified after the fact.
All right. Any more questions on this first part of the multifaceted budget set? Cool. Okay, the next one's the town administrator section. So this one's just the town administrator salary and the town admin assistant salary. And from here, it looks like they, Andrew had increased the town admin assistant salary. I believe they're going up 2%, does that sound right, Sandy? And then the town administrator salary, it looks like he just level funded that for next year for the time being. Any questions on that?
He had put in the 2% on the salaries, he said, on all of them. We
Okay.
haven't voted on it yet or
Except the town
anything,
admin
but
one, it looks like he level funded.
That's because, that's a contract.
I must be
Right.
missing a page, because I don't have.
You only have that one page, and then a few.
Town administrator, you want to stop?
Oh, a separate.
It's a separate
Oh, I thought it
packet.
was still under
Oh,
ours.
no, no.
No, we got a whole bunch
We-
of separate
You get your own
ones now.
separate.
Oh,
look at
yeah.
this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because
want those
again,
separate
I want to
sections.
make it so that it's easy for you guys to compare this to what's actually in the system, because if you go to look at the,
Yeah.
you say your Board of Selectmen balance, wait a minute, why is it, 114,000 higher? I just want to make things a little easier for
Well,
you when I
things are
can.
kind of spread all over the place.
So,
So she put them all together.
all right, so any questions on that? Those two lines, everyone good? Greg, do you have any questions? Okay. Next one I think I have is various Board of Selectmen expenses. Is that what everyone else has? Or
Nope,
did
I
I
had
put it in
legal.
different
Legal.
order? What do you have?
Legal.
You have legal, I'll switch to legal. I didn't put my book together in the right order, it seems. Okay, the next one's legal. So there's two categories in legal. There's a salaries and wages line and other expenses. So I had the opportunity to speak with Sharon, our treasurer collector today, who had mentioned that, so our town council line, what we've traditionally done is we pay a monthly stipend, and you'll see that in the detailed pages that follow, to our main town council, which is Jim Bard. So every month he submits a timesheet, and he gets a stipend. So as you'll see here, it looks like actually every 2 weeks, and it's $255. that he gets. And that's a flat fee, so if he does 4 hours of work, that's what he gets that month. 0 hours of work or 150 hours of work, it's still the flat stipend. The only thing, as Andrew explained it to me, that changes is in the event that he incurs expenses. He has to make photocopies, he has to do a mailing, he has to go travel somewhere. Then we get charged for that under the other section, which is legal expense. So as of right now, under the town council line, if you look at the town council line, you'll see that everything here says invoice payment, all the way going down, it's generally warrants, and they're all payroll. There's one exception, 4 down, there's an AP, which is a bill warrant, but you'll see that it's put in and then crossed out, because someone realized that they wanted to put it in the expense line and not the regular payroll line. Because generally, with how the Massachusetts system is set up, you're supposed to only pay out of salaries and wages, regular payroll, and anything else, if it's a consultant bill, if it's an outside expense, is supposed to go under the expense line. You have to be careful, you're not supposed to charge regular salaries down to the expense and vice versa, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, so that's that line. And then the second line is the expenses line, and if you look at the next detailed sheet here, you see that that's where you see Dupree Law Offices show up. So Dupree, we pay a monthly stipend to as well, and they are our labor council. So if we have personnel issues that come up or contract negotiations, that's where we fund them out of. And that's budgeted at about $750 a month is what we're currently paying for that. And you see in the invoice section says July, August, September, October, November, December, January. So once a month we get that invoice. For next year, Andrew had budgeted these numbers a little bit higher. The reason being is he knows there's lots going on, both with the union contract negotiations, as well as there's also the potential that we're getting to the point with our general counsel that it may, at some point, I talked to Jim this morning, he's 82. He's still contemplating potentially retiring at some point. If he does retire, Andrew wanted to make sure that we had funds in the account, that we'd be able to hire additional counsel if we needed to. And additional counsel, if you're not familiar with the current rates, it's about $190 an hour. They don't do stipends.
A lot more than this, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just the idea, it would be changing
Yeah.
how we do our entire operations with regards to legal, but he wanted to leave us the opportunity in case something came up and we needed to do it that way.
Well, sooner or later, it's gonna come up, so.
Yeah.
Right, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Whether,
It's gonna.
whether we start planning for that and make a fund for it or something, that's gonna be an expense that's gonna be significantly more than Jim's been charging us.
Yes, so right now it's he put in for about, 3,500 more than last year, it looks like, between the two lines. Does that make sense to everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, what do we have next? IT.
Well,
I have it.
we used to,
You're still on legal, aren't you, Claire?
yeah, because the
Okay.
second page got other stuff in it.
Oh, it does, okay.
See, we did the repairs to building.
Yes, that's under the building section. And I think, can we come back to this page, Claire? Because I
Okay.
think we hit them on the other spots.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Okay, so IT. So under IT, we don't have any salaries and wages, we just have the expenses. We have 4 major categories. In the section below that, you see that there's something, again, called the detailed notes. And again, where I pull that from, just to show you guys one more time, so everyone can see here. So when you're looking at the chart, if you want to see those details, you just scroll, let's see, other expenses, drop that down. You scroll all the way over to the right, and there's these boxes. So under data processing, if you pop up the box, it gives you the more of the detail. Okay, so that we provided for you in the detailed notes section is where we copied and pasted that. So data processing expenses, you see them there. It looks like they're level funded from this year. Same thing with IT managed services. The only one that went up was under IT expenses. So I can answer any questions that you guys have. I can walk through each of them however you'd like me to proceed there. You tell me. I'll do my best anyway. So the IT section essentially covers most of our general software that we operate with at Town Hall. You see here expenses that are SoftWrite and Vadar. SoftWrite and Vadar are our financial software platforms. So data processing, these are annual contractual fees, so we pay these once a year. And then we're done. And these are, I believe, are his estimates of what's likely to charge us next year for these softwares. The software section is mostly used by the accounting office, and Vadar is mostly used by the treasurer's office and the assessor's office. IT managed services, that's $25,000, that is CM Geeks. And if you have any questions on that, I defer to Sandy, because she's gonna know more about that than I do on the
But what,
program.
that's real people coming to fix real problems, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
We have computer problems.
Yeah.
people call it, yeah.
So and it appears that we pay them, it looks like once a month, we pay them $420 for a flat fee. If I remember from talking to Andrew, that covers most everything, with the exception of if we ask them to come set up a new computer, then that's an additional expense.
Looks like we're paying them $1,900 every month on the back page.
Oh, am I not looking at the right, I'm seeing 420, am I looking at the wrong line?
1967, for CM Geeks Incorporated, every month.
That's the managed service.
That's the managed service.
That's the managed service.
I thought when we got the managed service, it came with the,
Oh, you're talking about Google? The Google Suite?
no,
No, what do you mean managed service, Sandy?
It's just, that's what they have on their invoice, they have it separate for regular, their expenses, and then there's a managed service, and it's the same amount every month. It never changed at 1967.
so we have, in July, we have 420. Then August, we have 420.
Oh, when you say what?
Then we have 433 in September.
Managed service.
Managed service.
Oh, I'm looking under IT expenses, I'm so sorry. No wonder why I'm talking.
1,300.
Yeah,
In
this is
December,
what
they're
I'm
1,000.
trying to,
Well, they had a community.
December, they're again.
this
So what I'm saying is, I thought we paid them,
Figure.
we had the
Went up
$24,000. We were supposed to
8,000.
take care of their services for the year,
Mhm.
not have extra charges.
They had
This
to
one
set up,
here.
A new computer.
IT expenses.
So these IT
That's
expenses,
24.
Sandy, though,
They
went
is
up
this possible
8,000.
that we also, do we
What
purchase
went
some
up?
of our products directly through them? If we have to get a new computer, do we purchase it directly through CM Geeks, or
Gotta
do we
go through
purchase it
this whole
through
thing.
Dell?
I did see an invoice for Dell, but
Okay,
Because I see a 400 and something a month, and I see another 2,000, so I'm seeing 2,500 a month in two different checks. And the 400 sometimes jumps over 3,000.
Oh, this one,
So it would look like we're paying them a set fee for whatever service they provide, and then some sort of rate for maintenance.
I can find out what that is, Greg, I don't know. I would have to we'll just pull the invoices and then follow up. I have a meeting with, Paul from CM Geeks next week.
So their managed services 25,000, expenses is 24,000. So managed services must be something that we're getting blank for that money, then the expenses must be.
would that include
And
the
that's what we
health
pay
check that they
for
do?
the service
I don't know,
hours.
some months, yeah, I don't know either.
But
I can definitely get back to everyone. Like I said, I'm meeting with Paul on Thursday, I think, next week. So I'll be able to ask him, we'll be able to pull the invoices. I apologize,
I
I
don't
have
know the
those
exact number
details.
we're working with the old guy, but he just never gonna have any projects done, and we were, swimming in it.
They're very, very available.
Yeah, everything's, I don't hear complaints like I did every single month or week with the old system, so.
We do health checks once a month.
yeah.
now see, this is where, in this section is where.
Just trying to understand where
It's
it's
gone
coming
up
from, that's all.
8,000. Which went up the 8,000?
Is it possible that it went up by 8,750 for the Clear Gov budget? Was that budgeted last year?
I doubt it.
Well, the big
Yeah.
difference,
Clear
the
book out
the
last
IT
year.
expense budget went up by 8,000.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that's, yeah, but
Well,
that's,
the email went up. I found that one, because there were 30 last year, and there's 36 now. But that would be just a little bit, but I can't compare the other to what's here.
well, I think that,
Yeah,
ClearGov budget
ClearGov's
is new
probably
this
it.
year, Claire.
That's
Okay.
8750, that's part of
So that's about your $8,000
Yeah, yeah.
differential.
Okay.
the, and ClearGov gives us what exactly again?
This,
This.
that
That's
guy.
that software.
Yeah.
So that's the software for that. Now, is that a one-time purchase, or is that an annual contribution to that volume?
Yeah, is there an annual
I
fee
thought
on
that was a
that?
one-time
I would
purchase.
assume that volume is a one-time
I'm,
purchase.
I don't have the answer to that question. My inclination could be incorrect, but I'm guessing where he's budgeting in there for next year for $8,750, that we've likely, if you look, do we have the IT expenses in here? Does it say, 8,000 or some change?
ClearGov, his IT expenses, ClearGov, in the
Yeah,
front
so
page.
1750.
Yeah.
Let's see, that's the only one I see. I'm guessing that it's probably, an annual amount, because he budgeted for it.
That, or that's one of those, maybe when we had to make a couple payments too, that could be that one that was
I
paid
don't
chunk this year. I can't believe we pay that much every year for software.
Some of them is expensive.
That's-
Yeah, but if this is just our budgeting software, it's not something that the whole town's using. under
No.
the budgeting
So-
season,
All the departments use
But not during the year, just.
it.
It's just
once a year.
budgeting.
Just
Yeah,
once a year,
it's
yeah.
just budgeting.
That's a little chunk of it, just budget.
But remember,
If
it's
it's a yearly.
available,
What did
so
we say the last time?
I think
We
one of the
paid
purposes of it is it's available on the
Read
town's
that.
website to the residents to have a live update of where we are.
Right.
So it is something that
$17,000.
is more than just
Remember.
budgeting, it's a compatibility feature, I'm guessing, with the thing.
Right.
But it's
I
not-
wasn't involved in the decision to purchase, but I'm guessing this was one of the things, is where someone can pull it up.
But it doesn't sit here, it sits some magic place somewhere else
It's in
that
the-
we're paying for,
it's in the
right?
The
cloud.
cloud.
Right.
Yes, and magic.
So
It's in
guess
the
what,
cloud.
that magic place isn't cheap, Greg.
God's running this one, so just, you know.
That cloud, the money used to go down in the
The
hole, now
cloud.
it goes up in the cloud.
So it's not just budget, it's budget, it lets the town interact with the budget and see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at all the lines.
Plus allegedly,
And
somebody
watch it
has
through
to,
the year as it goes and see how. it-
somebody has to try to keep it up for you too and make sure it's working too.
Yeah, but 8,000 a year is a lot of money if that's what we're paying. If we have to,
Well, I don't know.
there must
We
be a
used to-
maintenance. Because they're not gonna answer your questions unless you're paying something every year.
Right?
Some of these things we buy in two chunks, you pay a chunk now, then a chunk later, and that, it might be, that's a like 2-year purchase price, and there's a maintenance after that too.
Yeah.
I can look it up, I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That would
that's
seem like a
something
high,
we
it would
need.
seem like a high annual price.
Yeah.
It does have the stuff that we don't need, but we'll see how attractive people are with it too.
Any more questions on that one?
Thank goodness.
Okay, what's the next one? What's next, Ted?
Town buildings.
Town buildings, all right.
That's a big pack of stuff.
Yes. So I can speak very, very little about this, but some of the things that we were missing, Claire, in the other ones,
Yeah,
fall under this category. So when we pull up town buildings
yeah,
in our thing, over here, town buildings, other expenses, all of those lines show up.
oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
we had previously grouped them somewhere else, but again,
Yeah.
this should mostly equal the same budget.
Yeah. Should.
Theoretically, if all goes well. Oh, they do have some details here. No, they don't. They did.
The public safety building has gone up.
Appears to have.
What's that, Greg?
Public safety should be
Yeah.
triple. That way.
Heating. Oh, heating.
The electric heat,
Yeah.
yeah, probably. Good thing it wasn't a cold winter.
Mm.
Why did they put electric heat in that building?
Ask Ted, he was on the committee.
You
And
wanna
that's
be
the
cool.
previous select board that built the building.
You wanna be cool, so we want it cool.
No, I think the main
My
reason.
question was always, why do we build a police station when the fire station's in the rejected DPW building? We keep cutting more bricks out to fit more trucks in.
Yeah.
So,
Well, 'cause
so
you
do
have the
we
money.
know,
They didn't ask.
so we don't have a
You
break,
have to ask every,
That
So for the
building is
20
still, it's still in its early stages, so I don't think they have a real good history of what's going on there.
But from what I've heard, it's the electricity.
Oh, yeah, it's all electric building.
so we believe that's the increase, because I don't have a
But
breakdown.
I don't know why they
Of
put
that
electric
building.
heat in there. I don't
They
understand
put-
I
that.
think
They
Andrew
put-
said
they
something
put-
about,
they put a
the
heat pump
cost
in
of
there.
Installation, they didn't wanna go over the $3 million, and that was.
Right,
the
not
reason.
one penny more other than the
Right.
211,000.
Right.
A heat system might have cost you $50,000 or $100,000 for that. And electric was cheap, you just put the baseboards in and run it to a circuit.
Yeah, and then they
Oh, no,
sap it till you
that's
after the
all got
fact.
heat pumps. It's all heat pumps. That's the electric heat, okay? Those are all heat pumps.
Heat pumps.
That's why you heat in the winter and you cool in the summer, right? So those are all heat pumps in that building. Not baseboard.
Heat pumps meaning what?
They're the thing,
Mechanical
like
system,
that.
just like that, Bugger,
Yeah,
right
That one
there.
right there.
Right, but they're still
But
all
in the
electrical.
winter, it doesn't.
Oh, yeah, electric, right. But I'm saying is,
They're all, we're not using the earth to.
It's supposed to be more efficient, right?
it is, yeah, oh, it is.
Now,
Yeah,
the one
it
we
is.
have at the cottage is.
Oh, it
The
is more
electric bill
efficient.
hasn't gone up.
Yeah, oh, it's more efficient, but.
I don't know what else, I mean, obviously the electrical's crazy down there, but I don't know.
I wonder if something else is drawing it.
I don't know.
The other thing I think is interesting is we put money into this building to save energy.
Mm.
I look at the fuel bills, they're the same.
We should have put some,
Well, my question is,
photo cells.
after we did all that, did anybody ever do anything to find
Oh,
out
you mean this building?
if it worked?
Right.
Somebody spent
I
a lot of
thought they
money
did that.
screwing around with this building, and I never saw a report on what
I
happened.
Henry
thought
Wood's
somebody did it.
All right,
Still the same old windows, so
Well,
you didn't say much.
well, they put a lot of money in the insulation, et cetera, okay, and got all kind of awards, green this, green that, but, you know, I work for electric company, Greg,
But they-
okay, so that's what
We
happens. They
can go
put the
back and
money and
look at
nobody
the electric
checks.
bills in the last 10 years and see if they've changed.
So
Well, I mean,
if you,
it should be oil out of this building, should be saved, yeah.
Oil
so
too.
if you look in the detail pieces, so
Yeah.
they break all that down, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, the public safety building detailed sheet, currently they're at 87.47% of their budget. Or that is
Yeah.
up, I don't know who pays the bills if
They're
we
at
pay
87% of the budget, and we have
87.47%.
It should be like 75.
66, it should be.
Yeah.
Two
So-
bills a year, no?
And if you look at some of the bills, like you have, National Grid back in, let's see, November, 1,114. RJ McDonald, I'm guessing that's probably the oil, 657. National Grid again in December, 1,900, some change. National Grid in January, 2,614. I don't know why it went up $700. Maybe it was really cold, right? Like,
That's why
What
it's
month was
winter.
that?
that was, January 30th bill was
Is that our
2,614.
cold snap in January? We had a few cold weeks.
We got a high bill at the house for that,
If you went to-
that month, and I thought it was maybe a
Longer.
Christmas
Your
light.
outside lights are coming on before they're-
I'm short of daylight hours.
I thought, we didn't have that many
Our building
lights
goes
on.
up,
No, that ain't lights, kid.
Almost 100% where I work, from like $600 in June to $2,000 in January. It's just the way, the gas goes down, the electric goes up. It's crazy.
Plus the fact on that building, it's sort of new in a sense. I don't know if this might have been the first full winter we've had or something.
No,
Second.
No.
Second?
It was open in my first term, so we opened it in like June of that year.
Oh, okay, so second.
3 years ago, so.
So it looks like FY19 actuals were $46,613 for that. FY20's budgeted was only $39,500,
yeah.
Yeah.
so. But that's an anticipated thing that we should notate that we know is gonna go over.
Yeah. Something should be done, should be able to do something about it. The new building?
time to get that, it controls the design phase. When you cut corners on one thing, you gotta look at what's gonna cost you down the road.
Yeah.
When you buy the diesel truck, it's because it's gonna get better mileage? Well, not really, because
No,
the
'cause
engine's
you're
gonna last you
paying more.
twice as long, and the maintenance is gonna be lower, the tune-ups are lower. You know,
Could have put a forward weight rotating on the roof too.
if we do it at this point, if we go down, it has to be just for the site only. You know, there's no more room in the grid, we can't, there's already waiting
Oh, is
lists.
that right?
If they up the service station, the substation,
Yeah.
and to allow more electricity in, that's already sold out, they're not gonna be maxed out if they upgrade.
Aren't they, aren't they building a new
I think they plan to,
substation in
because they have
town?
enough, I think they have enough solar that they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't be able to get in on that, it's
Yeah.
too far sold out, I believe.
Huh.
But that building could go on and cover its own solar,
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I meant.
you know, but.
So on the other expenses,
Yep.
so everything else looks like it stayed the same from FY 20's numbers. The only thing that went up, as Claire noted, was the public safety
Yeah.
building piece. Are there
Yeah.
any other questions on this budget?
No.
All right, Ted, what do you got next? I keep putting mine in the wrong order, so I have to rely on you.
Various.
Various, all
That's gotta be
right.
scary.
Yes. Various means I can't show you any one of these in one section because they're all over the place.
And Sandy's here, she can talk about the holiday decorations.
Little fun.
Are there any questions?
Very
You
easy.
doing anything new
God
this
bless
year?
you, Sandy, you know how to play that game.
Grants, fundraising, the same every year.
Excellent. All right, street lighting, looks like Andrew just put in for an extra $1,000. I wonder if there might be a breakdown of what's there so far. Let's see. It looks like this far, we're at 66.90% under the street lighting category.
We looked into swapping stuff out and getting LEDs in and
Yeah.
stuff. And it was gonna cost us like $50,000 to pay them to swap the stuff out. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't hire your own people to do it. They have to disconnect from the pole, they charge you to take the light down.
Yeah.
Trying to put the new one out. Then you can save money on it tremendously, but it would take years to pay back. Then if we had something else put up, we gotta service it.
I wonder if when every light goes out, they have to replace it with an LED. I don't know how efficient the latest one is.
I doubt it, but if we, you know,
Hmm.
that would be a nice deal if they had to.
What did you
Well,
say,
there should be
what'd you ask,
something,
Brian?
Or if they did it one at a time.
What did you ask?
No, replace the, if a bulb burned out, you could put an LED
Oh,
You gotta go up to
you have
pole
to
anyway.
check your contract. Somebody signed a contract, and they told you what they're gonna do.
They
They'll
do.
put a new bulb in,
Hmm.
all right, as soon as you call them. But as far as changing the fixture out,
Oh,
I'm
that's.
not too sure.
Most LED bulbs, when you wanna put an LED
Different,
bulb in,
yeah,
it needs, it's like an old fluorescent, it needs an own driver for it, so.
Yeah.
That becomes an expensive product in itself. So if they swap the whole fixture, same thing, they swap the whole fixture.
Oh, hang on. The thing about the LED lights are flat, so the other ones are round, so the whole thing doesn't work with an
Yeah,
LED
usually they
light.
have some fix that goes into the fixture, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
never cheap.
You know, the one thing about the LEDs, they last a long time, but still cost money to deal with them.
Yep, and they want to earn money.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
In FY18, the street lighting was 39,760.
When you shut lights off.
Is that when we
Yeah,
shut them down?
yeah. It's cheap to be in the
Yeah,
dark,
do
Claire.
that.
In the winter, it's cheap to be in the dark, okay? That's cheap, yep.
So the only other change here is town report expense. It looks like Andrew had budgeted for 1,500. I'm guessing they just wanted to maybe create a few more,
Yeah.
or the price has gone up.
Probably went up,
combination.
probably went up.
But I can't tell you what the current cost is, because we didn't do the town report purchase yet, so I don't know the answer to that question.
I would suspect he has a suggestion is gonna go up.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that's all of the budget packets we have for this
Yeah.
evening. Are there any other questions on any of those, or any feedback on how this board would like to have information presented in the future, so that Sandy and I can make sure we get things ahead of time, now that we have a handle?
I don't know. Like, work in progress, I'd say.
I mean, I think this was a good job. It's the most complete thing I've seen.
It'll work.
So, I mean, and the other thing it does is, it just shows you, things are complicated, and everything's there, okay? So it's not out of control. I mean, I'm happy to, it's hard to figure out what line it's in, but it's not like, oh my gosh, what happened?
It's not out
So-
of control, but we're getting preliminary that the school's looking for like
Yeah,
5.3%
yeah.
is gonna hit us
I
to
mean-
13.9.
I mean, I'm
By my
concerned about
calculations,
that.
is over $800,000.
I mean, you look,
So
at
if
there's
our
nothing
budget goes
going
up
up
by 250,
5%.
the school wants 800.
So how it
we're
going
gonna
up
get another
5%, I don't understand.
This is why I keep saying.
And a
This
lot of
is
that
all
stuff they
their-
claim the state
This
said
is
it's
their
fine.
high budget
I'll keep.
that they always come in.
I'll
But
keep
Heather
it.
and I were talking, Greg, and Heather says they know what to budget for. They don't need to come in that high.
They never need to. They
No.
have, they have a
So
very
you may
healthy
not.
stabilization account.
You may be
Their
able
reserves
to.
are healthy, their free cash every year is healthy. They do projects, wish projects, every single year at that school. And you have salaries that up there, I think, many, if not most, above $70,000 a year for 36 weeks of work, which most of our town workers don't get anything remotely close to that.
Well, yeah, but statewide, they're below, so you can't really,
You can.
well, you can, if you want good people. You gotta pay the money.
I still go back to looking at the MCAS scores and where we were, I moved into this town
Mm-hmm.
almost 20 years ago now. We were in the top 25% of the state in scores, and now we're down to the bottom 30. And it's
Well,
been
they
there
did-
for a long time.
Yeah.
So we're paying good money for it and not getting the results, and that's, sooner or later.
Well,
you say,
there
we
are
should-
reasons that weren't down, and they're not necessarily because scores are bad. But we won't get into that because I'm not on the school committee. You can check with the school committee.
We've had discussions with the school, and I'll have more, we always have lovely chats.
Right.
I always just say, the town has so much money, and the school's
Yeah.
always had a certain percentage, work with your
53%,
percentage.
yeah.
That means you tighten your belt and work with your percentage.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't-
they have, last year.
Last year they did, it's the first time they really
Yeah,
have.
maybe they
Let's
will
look at it
this year.
positively.
That's the first time they really have, and I hope we can
Is-
continue
is-
that trend.
Is
That's what I'm trying to
Quabbin
say.
combining with Ware High School?
I don't think so.
Not that I know of
The
yet.
headline,
Talking about it.
the headline was that they're looking to possibly share some services, which is, you know.
What does that mean, Jen? Did they?
I don't know, I was gonna say, the article was very vague, you know, some people are saying, you know, there's 3 buses that come out of Ware anyway up to Quabbin, you know.
I heard there's a lot of choice
There's a lot of
kids,
sports,
right? Yeah.
But they're saying, like, even when you get into, you know, the sports programs that one school offers that another doesn't, maybe band programs, ROTC, which is only available in Quabbin, you know, are there opportunities to kind of combine some of those extracurricular things as well?
Hmm.
That's the
There's
rumors
so
I'm
many
hearing,
things.
so.
They could share in something as heating oil purchases, or, you know, recreational activities.
Hey, if it could work.
Classrooms, for, you know,
If it can
offer
work.
different types of courses
Yeah.
at both schools.
You know, some of the
We got-
specialty
Yeah.
things could you share, you know, at like a band instructor or like the ASL teacher or something like that. Some of those things are only offered, you know, maybe it's a shared service or a shared
They can't-
salary.
So this, going to Greg, your point of what else ClearGov does, so this is one of, when you go into the depth of asking, clicking on the different schools, so if you go
Right.
back for a second here, let's see if it goes back correctly. So up top, it gives you all the information, then there's a school section, educational snapshot, so 879 school-aged children, and it allows you to click on which school you wanna learn more about, and each of these are proportional based on the number of kids, right?
Mhm.
So you click on the Quabbin, and you see here, so they have 2,100, this is last year, I believe, 2,148 students, 283 employees. You go down to here, financial overview, total spend, $36.6 million. You see the revenue coming in, the assessments, revolving, federal, local services, state grants. On the other side, you see the instructional services, employee benefits, pupil services, plant operations, maintenance, out of district, district leadership and administration, and other fixed costs. And the other fixed cost is, give me an amount if I click on it. $1,567 for the, district leadership and admin. Down here, expenditure per student, operating, 15,740, which is 9.4% higher than similar districts. You can click on the analysis button.
It is higher now, huh? Incorrect.
Peer distribution analysis, so the state average is 17,000. Spencer, East Brookfield is 16,000. Quabbin
We know it's
is
right.
between 15 and 16. Wilbraham is less than that. Ear is less than that. Narragansett is less than that. And Ashburnham, Westminster is less than that.
Those are all more
Substantially.
comparable to our town.
Yeah.
State average takes in everything like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andover and
Yeah.
Brockton.
Oh,
and
oh,
Newton and
okay,
Worcester.
yeah, gotcha.
Everything's state
Gotcha.
average.
And these are good schools, good school
Yeah.
districts that it's even comparing it to. Between Wilbraham and Ashburnham,
Spencer's
Westminster are very good
Yeah.
school districts.
Mm.
Peer distribution analysis, statistically normalized. And then it gives you details down here. Quabbin, total number of students, 2,148. Average household income, 72,000. Then you go down to Spencer, East Brookfield. Their average income is 62,000. Hamden, Wilbraham, 85. Narragansett, 70,000. Ear Shirley, and then Ashburnham, Westminster, 86. So they give you some of the details there.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I just,
But
oh, that's
even a-
2018.
Even
I
a
guess.
$1,000 drop per student, which is still keeps close to, you could drop 2,000, be close to our neighbors. 2,000 and 2,000 students is $4 million. That's a ninth of their budget.
So-
And the state side won't change, our side would change.
Right.
So if that was $4 million, and we're hoping 40% of that, that's 1.6 million we could drop if they get more in line with some of these other schools. I think there's plenty of room from there to tighten their budgets and make some hard decisions, and they've never been asked to. Last year's the first time, I've been arguing since day one, and I got a lot of flack for it the first couple of years, and last year, the other towns started arguing as well. And we finally got some response back, and I'm gonna keep on making this same argument, it's just, if they're, the school committee said it best when they came in here, and they said, well, no, our job isn't to represent the town to the school, our job is to get everything we can for the school. We said, no. We have those seats, because those seats represent the town of Barre, and you're supposed to have a fiduciary responsibility to this town while doing what you can for the students, and none of the people seem to have the attitude that they owe anything to the town or should have any
That's-
consideration for the town.
That's a real problem.
We
Yeah.
tell the town
Yeah.
what you pay us, and you gotta pay it, darn it. And, you know, and they said, we have more
Yeah.
employees, they have 283 employees. Well, if you add up the employees of the town of Barre, I bet we're well over 100. And there's 5 towns in that school district. Collectively, we probably employ 300 or 400 people for the same money the school gets. For half they get, because they get the same money from the, you know, they get a $36 million budget. They get to triple our budget, and they get, you know,
I still wonder if
comparable
we're,
employees to us, and far less buildings we have.
the
They don't have to
school
maintain
choice,
the roads and the grounds and everything else that we do for our share. If they were
is that paying its
this careful with
way
the money,
and
would go a lot further.
increasing us, you
Heather,
know?
thank you for that. We're only
In
one-
3 days, I have
That was
not come
good.
across the
Right.
school choice numbers, Claire.
What the hell you been doing?
I know.
You won't, because I've asked for them the last 3 times I've seen
I
them in
still
meetings, and
wonder
they
if
give me the
we're
runaround.
really,
Well, we'll get you for that. I said, well, you said that last time.
Why would they not show
how,
that?
are they paying
Because they'll tell us how
15,000
many
per
kids come in, they
student?
won't tell us how many leave, and they won't tell us how many teachers at school send their kids to a different district,
That's what I thought.
which is quite a
And
few.
it's costing us 15,000
Are we gonna have a meeting in a week to
Educated?
catch up?
That's
Should we
not-
wait?
Negative
You pay a
Ghost
school
Rider.
choice on, you pay like
What's
$7,000.
that?
March 5th.
And I think we
That's the
have
next
four
one?
days. It costs you more to give out than.
Okay, wait a
schedule
minute, so this
per
one
student.
is, this is
That's
no
no good. I
good,
get
that's no
we send
good.
them on.
There we are.
There you go.
This
But
is
the ones that are
magic
coming
one.
in
This
are
is the
only
new.
paying
So,
like
Ted,
5 or
how
6,000
soon do you want
to come to Quabbin.
copies of the next
And
set
it's
of stuff?
costing
'Cause
us
we
to
have get
educate
the
them
departments
15?
And to you guys.
Whenever, I'm gonna
It
start,
doesn't-
I'm gonna
it
spend
just
some more
doesn't-
time
School
playing with
choice.
that guy.
I
Well,
just have
imagine
them
that today's
uneasy. I haven't
School
seen
choice
them.
used to be-
20,
I thought you had like
20.
17 school choice.
I just
So
wanna
when you got kids in,
change-
you made out, when you sent them out, you lost. I believe you wanted
I
kids
haven't
in.
seen, I'd like to see the numbers, you know, what it's costing.
They're building on
You can't
their,
do much
what,
of that in
historical
spaces
society
because we
has
have
to
the regional
be on the
schools.
same night
So
as the
unless we
library.
rewrite the agreement.
Oh, sure,
That's the only
Lester,
thing.
Lester come that,
Yeah.
that's not a problem.
Students into doing things.
We're gonna be really rough with Lester, we're gonna put him through all the,
Well, my sister-in-law graduated in 2003. Her
We are
graduating
still
class
moving, yep.
was something around 240 to 260 students. My daughter's a senior, class is 644.
Popular
It's
as
quite a
student.
bit different.
well, Heather,
There's
I'm
a lot
glad
of
you're
fun.
here.
Yeah, my kids are around 225 in each of
Thank
their
you, Ted.
classes last week out.
So what we'll try to do is next week, we'll work on
Yeah,
those
it's been dropping
budgets.
set some of the kindergarten
We'll
classes.
communicate with you
But the
via
problem is, when they
email.
were trying to
Yeah.
shut New Braintree School.
And then we'll have
They're
everything
showing how the
printed out as
negative
soon as
trend's
we can.
going.
As soon as
And
we
according
get
to them, we're
everything
gonna have no
together,
students in 5 years.
Sandy will pop
Oh,
out
really?
an email and let
They're
everybody,
gonna
all
come
of you
back.
guys know.
We can
Sooner
stop
or
by
later, the
and-
market's gonna
Yeah.
turn,
Yeah.
people are gonna
Pick up
afford
a
to
hard
ditch their
copy.
house.
And
we
move
worked
on
out
with
the
their life,
meeting,
that
so
house
you
will
only
be
have to
handed back
cover
kids,
one.
And they're gonna need the
What?
school. I said, if you
What?
close the damn
You're
school,
going on
Yes, I-
vacation?
it costs them $100,000.
I leave
a year to keep it
Tuesday
open.
for a month.
It'll cost us $5 million to
That's
build
why
a new
it's
school, because that one.
So this
I
is
went to
your
the
your
uncertified
meeting,
school.
but they're
You
all
can't say,
easy
okay, we're
ones.
gonna
I'm
take
gonna
the
have to
school,
get
but
nasty.
Inspection says, oh, no, it doesn't meet today's standards, it can't be a school.
You were
Oh.
gonna have three,
So
when
then
it was
you
set
gotta build
up,
a new
but
school,
Sandy
you gotta-
and Heather and I
I gotta
worked.
tell you this story.
Whatever. You pay the $100,000 a year to
When
keep it
the
open.
women started to go
Plus
on
the
the
town
Navy
needs
ships, the
sports,
admiral had this
basketball,
big
Olympic,
meeting out
Olympic
in,
Hey, Ted, before you do that, did you wanna
Meetings
close the
there,
meeting,
they
Claire?
need to
Oh,
be
yeah.
there, 'cause
Yeah.
a lot of the community don't shut us
I need a motion.
oh, like the,
They were held
a
up
motion
shut.
to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Okay, now go ahead.
So anyways, Admiral gets up there and he says, on these